A gentle pulsing on the otherwise silent night. And a very, very oppressively dark night. Wow. I can just barely make out lights in the distance, but other than that, I guess we're waiting for a bus, but I get the impression that bus is never coming. What does that say? Wait, there's something written on that brick wall. Lost? Scream. That dreamlike feeling of being all alone on dark streets in an unfamiliar place with no memory of how I got here. All while, even in spite of the isolation, it seems like someone is taunting me. That's a little unsettling. And so is that raspy moan that I think I just heard from somewhere. Worst of all, that feeling was directional. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to Gary's Mod. And appropriately, today, the map we're going to be exploring is Unsettling Streets. I always talk about whether it's worse having a constant spooky ambiance or total silence. Well, here we're splitting the difference because most of the time it's total silence, which is really oppressive in this blanket of darkness. But we also have just occasional disturbing sounds that are over before I can even fully place what they are, or more importantly, where they're coming from. There are some open windows up there, but no doors. No, that's not true. There is a door and a fence. I can't seem to open it. Oh, never mind. All the ambiance is in here. God, this feels like playing a 3D version of one of those 2000s creepy Flash games. I can't seem to open this one. But I can head upstairs into the dark. It's like the light down here is only here to provide contrast, that cobweb up in the corner implying that no one's been here for some time. Oh boy. This is like all the uncanny valley feelings of those games rolled up into an environment. And I'm not even talking about intentional creepiness. You know those old games that are so strange and just so off-putting in their general vibe that you don't even feel like you're playing something that was made by humans? That's kind of the impression I get from this. This window appears to be broken, as if something crashed through it. But I can't see outward, as if this whole room is its own pocket dimension. I can't seem to enter this door either. But I guess the buildings are explorable. We learned that. Question is, what do we do with this place? Did you hear that? The ambiance cut out, and it just sounded like something was shuffling around for a moment. I'm nervous to step outside. Hello? Wait, can I just not open anything anymore? Oh. Okay, the way the doors in this are working is very strange. It's like I use them and there's like a load time or something. Back onto the unsettling streets. Even the stop signs are unsettling with their off-kilter lettering. The T looks like it's leaning over. The O is too short. But there's another building over here. I'm half tempted to see what happens if I just walk out into the blackness, but maybe that'll be an idea for when we've completely given up hope of finding anything here. It's always my own footsteps that make the silence so much worse. Scream so we can hear you. Second time we've heard that, they just want us to scream, whoever they are. Can we enter this here? The problem is, because of the glitchiness, it's so hard to know whether a door can be opened or not. I guess we can tell because we'll sort of stick on the ground for a second. Well, this one doesn't seem to come with any ambiance of its own. Of course, that could always change. It's like I can feel the cold air drifting in through these massive open windows. I hear something. Can't seem to interact. It sounds like it's from one of those creepypasta ROM hacks or something. As does that. It was only 4 notes played. It sounded similar in style, but it wasn't coming from the radio. I guess it's only appropriate considering this feels like one of those 2000s games, or even like late 90s N64 or something. It feels like we shouldn't be experiencing it in VR, but like we just woke up one day to find that this was how we view things. Alright, it's exceedingly difficult to find out which of these doors, if any, actually does anything. Okay, wait. Can we do this reliably? It seems like the way to do this is to reach both arms forward into it and grab, and then it'll work. And then it'll be frozen for a few seconds, but that's alright. There was something in this room. What is this? It's like, I can't tell if this is a pile of gore or riches. But there's like some kind of broken tablets in the middle of it. Either way, we're still getting some kind of soundtrack in here that sounds like it's from an N64 game. Alright, I messed around a bit outside of VR, and it doesn't seem like there's any text I'm missing. It's just that there's a fade effect that happens on the doorways. And there wasn't anything on that pile of stuff on that table either. That door is completely bricked off. I wonder if we can interact with it anyways. I just got a really bad feeling of something over my shoulder. See, the problem with only having our own footsteps to listen to is that every once in a while you start to hear something that maybe isn't made by you. Like that, yeah, exactly. Problem is, while these buildings aren't exactly comforting, it's even less comforting to step away from them because now we just have infinite darkness surrounding us. I also still have the effects of my peripheral vision where the fog kind of fades away. Oh, there's another part of town. I do also have the effect in my peripheral vision. I saw that! I saw that! It said quit, and it quickly turned to stop, right on the edge of the darkness. I do still have my peripheral vision where I can sort of see lights in the distance, again, only in the corner of my eyes. This whole place is messing with me. No, I saw you. I saw a couple of glowing white eyes up there in the broken window. Is that syringe leaking out onto the ground, or are you taking something up to be injected? Either way, it doesn't seem sanitary. Now over here, where the darkness is even darker because the building barely meets the streetlights. I guess we're gonna try to go in. Or not. This whole thing really does have the feeling of a nightmare. The kind where you just know something's gonna happen, but you can't stop yourself from walking forward. This place seems much bigger than it looked from the outside. And much darker up here where we saw those eyes. I don't like this. And what's weird is I don't know what would be worse, seeing some pixelated looking creature staring at me from a dark corner, or something realistic that contrasts with the environment. I can't tell if it's getting louder or faster. Come on. It just stopped, but I thought I heard something else. Well, now I get the pleasure of walking back in silence. Total silence that wasn't there before, and that's what makes it so, well, unsettling. The light from around the corner, the light we came from, now itself looks threatening. Was there something there for a second? I swear I saw, like, movement there. Maybe it's just the textures glitching out? Kind of looked like a face, at least to me, but maybe I'm jumping at shadows. Okay, are we gonna open or... Oh my god, these doors are so aggravating. Something jumped from the window, but left a trail of blood. There is more. Oh God, what am I doing? What am I doing? Oh, it gets so sparse here. Do I just continue in this direction? This... Oh! I was expecting a map edge. I suppose it is. I hear a phone ringing. Over here somewhere? Don't hide. You're welcome here. There's some fires burning over there. Are we in the bad part of town now? You know what this actually reminds me a lot of? An old Flash game called The Dead Case. Game where you're a recent ghost trying to explore this urban area at night, trying to solve your own murder. Don't hide, you say? Then take away the opportunity by bricking the door. Maybe we can make an emergency trip to Grouchland? Alright, let's check out the building. That's what happens to traitors. Traitors to what? Are traitors inside these garbage bags? Cash and bullets. It doesn't even feel like we're walking streets anymore. This stuff hardly seems to be connected to anything. Okay, don't think we can enter here. Once again, it is very frustrating trying to use these doors. God, this whole time, like, there's just such a sense of dread to all of this. But it's such an unspecific dread. I don't know what I'm waiting for. All I know is that I feel all alone out here. But I don't just mean all alone as in there's no one here. I mean all alone in the sense of hostility, like a kid getting lost outside at night. There's a sense of helplessness here that, I don't know, I can't quite place why I feel it in the way that I do. Keep yourself safe. Oh, that's not a building, that's a wooden fence. Maybe we can get into that yard somehow? This really does feel like those early first-person games where you'd just be constantly holding down the forward key, going into the low draw distance, constantly expecting something to pop out at you. Some kind of power infrastructure? Transformers? This looks a little more run down even than the buildings we've come across already. But it too is bricked off. Why does this one stand out among the rest? Oh, I think those are streetlights. I'm really, really jumpy right now. There's another phone booth. I'm guessing that all of these can ring under certain conditions. Not ringing for me, though. I would be all at once relieved and horrified at this point if a bus actually were to show up. A bend in the road? We are going farther and farther away from civilization, if one can call it that. Much of the screen is just black. I'm finding I angle my face downward just so that more of my vision can be occupied by something. There's absolutely nothing but the road to anchor us to reality now. And even this doesn't exactly scream reality. God, where are we going? It's like there was something out here that just disappeared as I approached. Is that indicating that this is where I'm supposed to throw myself over the edge? Because it seems like the road terminates right here. I'm not doing that before we reach the crescendo of this music. It brings me far out of the city and then implies that something is going on over there, like I was being... Oh my god. Happening right here. What did I do by trying to leave? Okay, I guess that killed me. Is this permanent? Is this just how it's gonna be now? You say I'm welcome here. Maybe I became a traitor by trying to leave. These are flashing in the dark. Oh, and that's the second time I've gotten really unlucky. And it's not just the explosions, it's the howls on the wind. Okay, I'll be honest, that's the first time I've actually been, like, scared speechless and my full body went into panic. And it's because of the gradual... It was because of the gradual way that scream faded in. It sounded so real, I honestly had mistaken it for something that was happening outside my room at first. Can we get inside? Please, can we get inside? I can still hear it going on out there. Hopefully there's no explosions in here. I don't think it's going to help me much. Those explosions are getting more and more frequent. It's definitely picking up. And I should probably be outside for it. Nothing new from you? There must be something I'm supposed to do in this moment, right? I'm having to use no-clip now because it's literally impossible to do anything. Every time I die, I have to take the headset off and go fix it. That's not great for immersion. Oh god, there's so many explosions here. But still no ringing. This, too, seems to be a road out of town. Ow! God, it's like an air raid. Flashes in the dark, screams all over. I don't know if I've seen this walkway before. But at a certain point, I am going to have to stop this. Nothing, no wisdom for me. I actually had a look on the workshop page to try and find some way to stop this, and the description is just all presumably coded messages. It's just a series of numbers and letters in pairs. Is that a phone? Is that meant to guide me in some way, to say that those are the key? Because I had kind of already gathered. The only other thing I have gathered is that from the workshop page, this town is meant to be called Hargon. Or the Hargon. There you are. And no, the blood wasn't here before. Alright, this time I'm going to try running off down this street here. Although I guess we've seen what happens when you try to exit from the far ends. Interesting though, isn't it, that the far ends are so far out? It doesn't just terminate on the edge of what the creator has placed here. It makes sure that trying to leave really feels like we're leaving, like we're getting a good distance before being stopped, or at least that's how it was before. This, I'm actually not so sure, because we've looped back around. We're now parallel to the city. But we don't seem to be getting anywhere. The more complacent I get, the more I start running into the dark, just trying to rush progress. The more I feel like I'm going to run headlong into some misshapen, screaming figure running out of the dark towards me. Oh god, imagine if this is just like a stretch that's looping me. No. I was honestly just about to turn back, especially after GM After Hours already pulled that trick. Once more, we're quitting. And that's kind of what I thought. It said behind you. When this map says behind you, I believe it. Of course, behind us there's nothing but darkness, but that's not exactly a change of pace. That's a regular pulsating. This is the phone right in front of that graffiti. But I can't interact with it. No, that sound is definitely coming from here. Listening to that again, it's kind of like church bells ringing the hour. I also noticed that those tones, as with many tones on this map, come in pairs. So I wonder if maybe that too is meant to be a coded message. Maybe it does tell us something. What if we try exiting town this way? Trying to exit town always yields positive results. Why not try it here? Problem is, the fog is so thick that even no-clip doesn't really help me. There are ways to turn it off in the console, but that kind of seems like skipping the line. There it is again, that same sequence. I keep coming upon areas I don't recognize. This area is completely isolated. No road connects to it. I guess there's whatever's over there. Oh my... You were watching us from beyond... Wait... Outside this fence, the grass is all dead. We can walk on it. Wait. This becomes a dirt road. It's almost like you're daring me to come over here, like you're some enclosed and caged creature. It's your building. Now I can only see that speech bubble as an eye with a very odd set of pupils. God, unsettling really is the perfect word to describe this, isn't it? Because so many factors of this go into making this such a dreadful experience that is part of the reason why I was so shut down when something more overt started happening. First of all, because I never expected something like that from a map that had been so silent, but it's so many things about this. The utter silence only occasionally interrupted by small sounds, the little things that blink in and out of view, possibly even before you can register them. There are the stop signs, of course, but there's a couple of times when I swear I've seen faces. But of course, they're never there when I can actually focus. And even the way the town is laid out is so, like, it's not a linear series of streets with some roads leading outward. In this darkness, the roads themselves are the primary mechanism that we use to feel our way around. But we can't rely on normal experience to actually guide us that way because the roads don't seem to follow any sort of logical order. Even the way the buildings are placed plays into that because we tend to think that, okay, buildings will be denser towards the center of town and then kind of disperse as we get towards the outskirts. But that's not really true here. Around the corner in this area is kind of the closest thing we have to a main street. And even here, there's long stretches of road just in the middle of town where there's just nothing on either side of the road. And when there's nothing, we have no idea where we are. Even the textures of the building itself. I at first thought that these were bricked up windows, but it really is just misaligned brick, just patches. They don't even seem to be level with themselves. It's just all these little wrong things that go into making you feel uneasy in ways that you probably won't even consciously register at the time. It's because your instruments are malfunctioning, basically. Just none of those little shorthands that you normally rely on are applying here, and you might not even realize it at first because they're so universal normally. Sometimes there's such a wide gap between these buildings where they don't even seem to connect to any street. It literally just feels like your stream of consciousness is creating these images as you go, because there's otherwise no rhyme or reason whatsoever. Even little details like this, where when you face a streetlight from the back, it looks like the glowing eyes you've been warned about staring at you. I can't help but be reminded of a more open-ended version of I'm Scared, a pixelated nightmare. Of course, in terms of the visual style, but also just in the feeling of this being like a forgotten old game that has been left to rot and is angry about being left behind. It's like coming upon some old obscure game that nobody's really heard of, and so there's that level of detachment and mystery to it. And this map constantly makes you feel like there is some mystery to be solved. Like something is always just on the tip of your tongue, just on the verge of being discovered, but you can't quite make that connection. More to the point, though, this map just feels like it's watching you, like it's staring back at you while you're exploring it. Actually, you know what I would compare it to? It's a very similar feeling to when that one friend who you know likes messed up videos and shock stuff on the internet sits you down and has you watching something that is seemingly normal, but you know them, you know something is coming, and the whole time you're watching, you can feel their anticipation, feel them watching you watch what they're showing you. You can almost feel the map's malicious joy as you walk towards something that's going to startle you, and those overt scares are actually fairly rare, and when they come, they're extremely fleeting. By the time you even recognize that they're there, they're gone usually. That's how it's always been. Well, except for the bombing run that simply never ended. That was more terror. It is such a unique and refreshing take on a horror map that it is so subtle that it's almost hard to put to words, but I hope I've gotten the point across. I think it's these little texture changes that get me the most, because it almost feels like watching a horror movie where the protagonist is walking through the haunted house and the camera shows all the little creatures and ghosts that are watching them pass. And even though I am the protagonist, I am also the camera, simultaneously aware and unaware of all these things that are changing around me. It's a map that I feel like screws with you subconsciously, you know? Like subliminal horror that makes you feel like you've been through scares because you have, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Oh, I actually could get into this room at the bottom of the stairs. But what does it do for me? Can I pick up a mop? Maybe all this place needs is to be cleaned up a little. God, this is unsettling. Yeah, the fact that you can kind of see faces in these textures to begin with really leads me to believe that maybe there was actually something there. I cannot wait to see in editing. I came back in flat screen later to try and test these doors, and while it doesn't seem like I can actually access them normally, I did find that there are actually rooms on the other side here. This one containing a table and file cabinets. This one here, just a table and chair by the window. And this one at the end, where that creature seems to have jumped from, well, nothing at all. Especially unsettling is the idea that it may have jumped because we approached, although it didn't seem to stop at any. In the first house we entered, there's another door that seemingly doesn't want to open, but no clipping through reveals that there's a table here, sitting under a light, but no interrogator to ask us what we're doing here. I just saw that there was something in the window for a second. But anything through this doorway? Actually, it seems that most of these doors have a room behind them, but for some reason it's only the one at the end of the hall that we can actually walk through. So maybe there's some way to actually unlock these? Same goes for the downstairs rooms here. Many rooms, nothing of note inside them. But the fact that they're here at all, the fact that they're furnished and in different states of lighting is really, really strange. It seems on its surface like a fairly simple, creepy vibes map, and it's certainly got that, but within that simplicity, it hides a million little, almost imperceptible details in the environment and in the overall design of the map that come together to make you feel so unspecifically wrong. Like, it's such an intense feeling of dread that is even more dreadful because you can't place where it's coming from. It's like in a nightmare where you know that something is going to happen, but you just don't know what. An impending sense of doom from nothing in particular. Even the name of the town, the Hargon, it sounds so, well, harsh and unfriendly. And it almost sounds like something that a kid would come up with to describe a place, a feeling that they don't understand, just kind of attaching whatever syllables seem appropriate. Not to mention the fact that we only know that from the workshop page. It seems like such an intuitive application of the name, rather than anything we find in the environment. It's like something we've always known, or something that just came to us. It really is just like a bad dream, something that is simultaneously feeling new and like it's always been our reality, and yet no memories attached to any of it. I'm sure there's a lot more to find because this really does feel complex and deep. And I would love to know if you guys have found anything else, but as for now, there's only so long I can stand to feel like this. And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this map out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.